What if the biggest threat to your company's network right now isn't, some complex line of malicious code written in a basement halfway across the world,
Right.
but instead it's just like a polite guy in a polo shirt holding a clipboard in your lobby?
Yeah, it's a terrifying thought.
Welcome to Calm Coding, the weekly cybersecurity podcast that covers the latest news and stories.
Glad to be here.
Our goal today is to help you cut through the noise of this week's most alarming headlines and really uncover the hidden patterns that are impacting both your digital and your physical life.
Exactly. Because we are looking at a fundamental shift in how cybercrime operates today.
We're talking about the weaponization of trust. The attackers are no longer just trying to brute force firewalls.
No, they're not. They're exploiting the very things you and I just inherently believe in.
Right, like the security of our physical offices, the reputation of massive tech platforms like Google, the eagerness of our new AI assistants, and even our own predictable moments of human panic.
It's basically psychological warfare at this point.
So to start, let's look at a story that completely shatters the barrier between the physical world and the digital one.
Yeah, so we are tracking this highly aggressive threat actor known as the Silent Ransom Group, or SRG.
SRG, okay.
You might also see them in threat intel reports under names like Chatty Spider, Luna Moth, or UNC 3753.
UNC 3753. That sounds like a defective droid from Star Wars or something.
Yeah, it really does, but they are very serious. Between January and May of 2026, this single group compromised dozens of U.S. firms.
Oh.
And they were heavily targeting professional, legal, and financial services. Law firms in particular were their primary focus.
Okay, but their infiltration method is what makes them so unique, right?
Exactly. They didn't just phish an employee or exploit some unpatched server. They impersonated the IT department.
Impersonated them how? Like on the phone?
Sometimes on the phone, yeah.
Mhm.
But in several documented cases, they actually sent their members physically into the target's offices to sit at the computers.
Okay, I have to stop you there. Because the logistics of this just completely blow my mind.
It sounds impossible.
It does.
Uh.
How does a malicious actor just walk into a modern corporate law firm? Most of these buildings have, security desks, turnstiles, key card access for the elevators, heavy glass doors.
Right.
Don't physical security protocols prevent exactly this from happening?
Well, you would think so, but physical security is heavily reliant on visual cues and social engineering.
Okay, explain that.
An attacker walks in wearing a generic IT vendor polo shirt, carrying a clipboard, maybe holding a heavy box of cables.
They look busy.
Exactly. They look busy, they look annoyed, and they exploit human politeness.
Ah, of course.
Someone holds the elevator for them. A receptionist assumes they're the contractor scheduled to fix the Wi-Fi.
Wow. So they just breeze right past the front desk.
Right. And once they're past that primary checkpoint, an office cubicle is generally treated as a low-threat environment.
Because everyone assumes if you're in there, you belong in there.
Precisely. So the attacker sits down at an employee's desk, plugs an external hard drive or a USB drive into the machine, and physically exfiltrates sensitive client files and financial records.
Just unplugs and leaves.
Yep. They walk right out the front door, and only then does the digital extortion campaign begin.
That is wild. It almost sounds like the old vampire rule from horror movies.
The vampire rule.
Yeah. Where the monster doesn't actually need to break down your heavy oak door if you willingly invite them inside? Because they look like they belong there.
That is a perfect analogy.
But surely the digital security tools on that computer realize a massive data transfer is happening. Like terabytes of data going to a random USB.
This exposes a massive blind spot in corporate defense. It's the siloed nature of security.
How do you mean by siloed?
Well, your endpoint detection tools and your network firewalls are highly tuned to look for anomalous network traffic. Say, a massive data upload to a server in an unfamiliar country.
Right, that sets off alarms.
Exactly. But when a threat actor sits in the actual chair of an authorized user, using that user's machine on the internal network, copying files to a local drive.
It just bypasses the external digital perimeter entirely.
Yes. It looks like legitimate local activity.
So for you listening, the takeaway here is deeply unsettling. I mean, all the military-grade encryption and fancy cloud security in your stack is completely neutralized if a bad actor can just sit in your ergonomic desk chair.
And we need to understand that SRG is not just a group of amateurs taking a wild physical risk for fun.
Right, they have a history.
They are linked to past incidents involving Bizarrecall, Conti, and Ryuk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. For context, Conti and Ryuk were highly organized, ruthless ransomware cartels known for shutting down critical infrastructure and hospitals.
So these are heavy hitters.
Very heavy hitters. They've just realized that exploiting human politeness in person is often far easier than cracking a complex firewall.
But let's say a company goes fully remote. There is no physical lobby, no receptionist to trick. Do the attackers lose their edge?
Based on the reports we're looking at today, the answer is no, because they just move on to exploiting the digital platforms we trust implicitly.
Right. Which brings us to our next story.
We are seeing a newly discovered malware campaign that is incredibly sophisticated simply because it routes its attack through the very plumbing of the internet.
The plumbing, what part?
It relies entirely on Google's own ad infrastructure, specifically the domain ad.doubleclick.net.
Wait, Google's actual ad domain?
Yes, and it uses it to smuggle malware right past enterprise email gateways and web filters.
That is, it sounds like a spy using a legitimate diplomatic pouch to smuggle weapons across a border.
Exactly.
The border guards see that official trusted seal and just wave the bag through without ever looking inside.
Well, the border guards wave it through because enterprise web filters are fundamentally designed to prioritize business continuity over absolute security.
Right, you can't just block Google.
Exactly. Most security tools rarely block Google ad domains. If an IT department blocked DoubleClick, they would break half the legitimate internet for their employees.
People wouldn't even be able to load news articles.
Right. Knowing this, the attackers send a spam email with an HTML attachment.
And the attachment is the virus.
No, the attachment itself is practically empty. It isn't a virus. It just contains a hidden redirect that bounces the victim through that trusted Google ad link and over to the attacker's infrastructure.
And once the victim lands there,
Mm-hmm.
what are they looking at? Because most of us are trained to spot, a generic, poorly spelled phishing page.
It isn't static anymore. The moment the victim clicks, the malware extracts their email address and uses it to scrape the web in real time.
In real time. So it builds the trap while you're falling into it.
Exactly. A background JavaScript reaches out, pulls the victim's live corporate logos, location data, and local time information, and dynamically rebuilds a fake company login page on the fly.
That is terrifying.
It is a flawless, pixel-perfect clone of the victim's actual corporate environment built in milliseconds.
Okay, let's assume the worst-case scenario here. The user is fooled, they interact with the page, and the payload drops. Doesn't the local antivirus software eventually step in and quarantine the malicious file?
That's where the technical execution gets really scary. This malware operates entirely in active memory, the RAM.
It never hits the hard drive.
Barely. It uses JavaScript, PowerShell, and .NET.
Just to clarify for anyone listening who might be unfamiliar, PowerShell and .NET aren't hacker tools, right? Those are the standard administrative tools built directly into the Windows operating system.
Precisely. It's a tactic called living off the land.
Living off the land.
Yeah. The malware is using the computer's own internal management systems against it. Because it operates in the active memory, it leaves almost no traditional static files behind on the hard drive for a standard antivirus scanner to find.
So it's basically invisible.
Mostly invisible, but it goes further. It actively defends itself.
Defends itself how?
It checks the environment to see if it's running inside a security researcher's sandbox. And if it is, it quietly shuts down.
Just plays dead.
Exactly. Then it alters Windows' built-in telemetry systems, specifically AMSI and ETW.
Ah, okay. So the anti-malware scan interface and event tracing, those are basically the internal security cameras of the operating system.
Yes. It unplugs the internal security cameras, then it injects its malicious code into trusted Microsoft-signed utilities like install-util.x.
Man, they really are using all our own tools against us.
Right. And while it's in there, it starts harvesting hardware details, specifically looking at the machine's processors and whether it's running high-end NVIDIA or AMD graphics cards.
Wait, why does it care about the graphics card? Is it trying to, mine cryptocurrency in the background?
That's a good guess, but no, it's profiling the machine's value.
Oh, interesting.
A standard accounting laptop has a basic integrated graphics chip, but a machine with a high-end dedicated GPU, that is likely a developer's workstation or an engineer's machine.
And those are high-value targets.
Exactly. The attackers want to map the network and find the users with the deepest access to the company's secrets for a larger espionage or ransomware deployment.
If our security tools fundamentally rely on whitelisting domains like Google and trusting Microsoft-signed utilities,
hmm
isn't the entire foundation of enterprise security effectively broken?
It reveals a structural design flaw for sure. Implicit trust is a vulnerability.
Yeah.
When an organization's security model dictates that anything coming from Google must be safe, they aren't actually practicing security, they are outsourcing their judgment.
So true. And, we've seen humans trust a fake IT uniform, and we've seen digital filters implicitly trust Google's domain reputation.
Right.
Now, we are moving to the frontier of misplaced trust, artificial intelligence. We've rapidly deployed these shiny new AI support bots, and they are notoriously eager to please.
Yeah, this brings us to a significant incident with Meta. Over 20,225 Instagram accounts were recently hacked.
Over 20,000. Was this a credential stuffing attack, or someone just guessed a bunch of passwords?
No, not at all. It was a flaw in Meta's high-touch support system, or HTS.
What is HTS?
This is an AI-assisted account recovery tool designed to streamline the support process.
Oh, I see. So how did the AI fail? Did the attackers write some complex, multi-layered prompt injection to, confuse the language model?
Oh, it was way simpler than that. It was entirely a failure of logic.
Okay, tell me more.
The bug allowed attackers to request password resets, but the AI system failed to perform the most basic fundamental check.
Which is?
It didn't verify if the email address requesting the reset actually matched the email address associated with the targeted Instagram account.
You're kidding.
I wish I was.
So an attacker could just plug in a brand new random email address, ask for a reset for my account, and the system would just hand over the reset link.
That is exactly what happened. Meta had to completely disable the HTS system, forcefully reset passwords for those 20,000 accounts, and require re-authentication.
Wow. And the exfiltrated data must have been huge.
Oh yeah. It likely included highly sensitive personal bios, direct messages, private photos.
It's a fascinating contradiction. I mean, we treat AI as this hyper-intelligent entity capable of analyzing millions of data points, but it completely lacks the common sense of a human intern.
Spot on. Which leads directly to this incredible experiment conducted by the security researchers at Varonis.
The Pinchy experiment.
The Pinchy experiment, yes. This is a crucial roadmap for understanding where AI security is heading in the next few years.
So what did they do?
Varonis created an OpenClaw AI agent, tied it to Gmail and Google Workspace APIs, and gave it access to simulated internal company data.
Like credentials, customer relationship management exports, calendar invites, stuff like that.
Exactly. They then tested it against two major models, Gemini 3.1 Pro and GPT 5.4.
I imagine the AI performed pretty well against standard technical threats.
It performed flawlessly. When the researchers sent a fake gift card email containing a phishing link, the AI instantly identified it as malicious and blocked it.
Okay, good.
And when they tried to trick it with a malicious OAuth application.
Actually, to jump in quickly, for anyone wondering, an OAuth application is basically one of those log in with Google or log in with Microsoft pop-ups that asks for permission to read your emails or manage your calendar.
Exactly. The researchers disguised a malicious OAuth app as a legitimate timesheet platform.
Tricky.
Very. But the AI immediately flagged the bad technical indicators and rejected the request. It was an excellent technical defender.
So if Pinchy was smart enough to spot a bad line of code and a malicious login prompt, how did the researchers finally break it?
They stopped trying to hack its code reading skills and started hacking its logic through urgency.
Urgency, how so?
The attackers sent an impersonation email claiming to be a team lead who desperately needed access to a staging environment right now.
Oh.
Or they requested sensitive customer data exports for an urgent high-stakes presentation.
And what did the AI do?
Faced with that programmatic pressure, Pinchy's verification steps collapsed. It handed over the keys.
It just handed them over. That feels like a nightclub hiring a world-class bouncer who has an encyclopedic knowledge of fake IDs.
Right.
He spots every tiny hologram flaw and incorrect font. But if a guy just runs up to the front of the line, sweating, and yells, "I'm late for a meeting with the owner," the bouncer just steps aside and opens the door.
That is exactly what's happening. The attack surface is fundamentally shifting. A virtual chief information security officer at Huntress noted that we are moving away from technical vulnerabilities to logical vulnerabilities.
It makes total sense.
10 years ago, hackers exploited buffer overflows, literally cramming too much data into a program's memory to make it crash and accept rogue commands.
Yeah, the old school way.
Today, they don't need to crash the memory. They just need to trick the AI's workflow by asking politely but urgently.
So if you are listening to this and your company is integrating AI into its support or identity workflows, the reality is that AI does not have suspicion built in by default.
No, it doesn't.
It is designed to complete tasks. It has no gut feeling when a request feels slightly off.
And that's why, if an AI has the authorization to trigger a privileged action, like resetting a password or exporting a database, it must be subjected to the exact same rigorous multi-step access controls as a human system administrator.
Absolutely. And, that tactic of using urgency to bypass logic isn't just effective on AI. Hackers know it works on humans, too.
Oh, absolutely.
They weaponize human stress. And that brings us to the recent Canvas learning platform hacks.
This illustrates how cybercrime is calculated down to the minute. The ransomware group Shiny Hunters recently targeted Canvas, which acts as the central digital nervous system for countless universities.
Right. Everyone uses Canvas.
And they timed the attack for maximum impact right in the middle of university finals week.
Man, that is brutal. But, universities have massive IT departments and redundant cloud architecture. If a platform like Canvas goes down, couldn't the IT team just restore the database from yesterday's backup, ignore the hacker's demands, and move on? Why is finals week the breaking point?
Because timing creates leverage by collapsing the timeline. Matt Radulek, a field CTO at Varonis, explains that attackers target specific moments on the calendar to force a crisis.
Force a crisis? How?
Think about it. If you hit a university in the middle of July, the board of directors might debate for 3 weeks about whether to pay a ransom while IT restores backups.
Because nobody's really using the system anyway.
Exactly. But if you hit them during finals week, you force that 3-week debate into a 3-hour panic because thousands of students are actively locked out of their exams.
Wow, so the attackers aren't targeting the code, they're targeting the clock.
That is a great way to put it. And Shiny Hunters brilliantly utilize a tactic called forced transparency.
Forced transparency.
Usually when a breach occurs, a security operations center detects it quietly at 2 a.m.
Right, and no one knows yet.
The organization has a few days to contain the threat, assess the actual damage, and carefully formulate a public relations strategy.
Yeah, they get their story straight.
But here, the hackers intentionally disrupted a highly visible service. They left a ransom note right on the login page that read, "Rooting your system since 19."
Oh, wow. And what do thousands of highly stressed college students do when the system crashes while they're trying to take a final exam?
Exactly.
They immediately go to TikTok, they go to Reddit, they screenshot the ransom note.
Instantly. The public outcry did the hackers' job for them. The students became an unwitting amplifier of the pressure campaign, completely stripping the universities of the quiet containment time they needed to formulate a response.
It is pure psychological warfare. They pull the fire alarm in a crowded building just to cause a stampede, knowing the victim will pay simply to stop the chaos and the screaming.
Yes.
So how does an organization defend itself against this when they're exploiting the calendar rather than the code?
Education platforms and really any organization with rigid schedules like financial reporting deadlines or product launches have a zero downtime tolerance.
Because they can't afford a single minute of delay.
Right. They have to assume the attack will arrive at the exact moment it hurts the most. Defense requires fallback plans that don't rely on the digital infrastructure.
Like analog fallbacks.
Yes. If Canvas goes down, how do exams proceed on paper? How is communication handled outside of the compromised network? If you remove the leverage of the downtime, you completely neutralize the attacker's power.
That makes total sense. Well, we've covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have.
We've seen that modern cyber threats are evolving far beyond, cracking complex passwords or writing sophisticated malware. The attackers are looking at the entire ecosystem of trust and exploiting it at every single layer.
They are exploiting the physical trust we place in a uniform by just walking right past the front desk.
Yeah.
They are piggybacking on the foundational trust we have in Google's ad networks and built-in Windows tools to bypass our digital borders.
They are manipulating the helpful, naive logic of our new AI agents. And, perhaps most insidiously, they are weaponizing our own human panic, using the stress of a rigid calendar to force hasty, desperate decisions.
It is a comprehensive assault on our basic assumptions.
Assumptions like what?
We assume the person carrying the clipboard belongs there. We assume the Google link won't hurt us. We assume the AI has common sense. We assume we'll have time to deal with a crisis. The hackers are profiting off those exact assumptions.
Which leaves you, our listener, with a final thought to ponder as we wrap up today's conversation. If hackers are increasingly shifting their focus away from breaking complex code and instead moving toward exploiting human logic and our emotional responses to artificial urgency,
Yeah.
perhaps our future cybersecurity training shouldn't just be about learning how to spot a bad link or a fake email address.
It requires a completely different mindset.
Exactly. Maybe the real training we need is psychological. We need to learn how to manage our own physiological responses to sudden manufactured panic.
I couldn't agree more.
Because if the monster is already wearing an IT polo, carrying a diplomatic pouch, and yelling that there's a fire, well, we have to be the ones who know better than to invite them in. Thank you for tuning in to Calm Coding. Stay safe and stay curious.